This is the editorial office of The Sun, one of Sri Lanka's most popular newspapers. The journalists behind me are writing up tomorrow's edition. Stories of politics, sports, human interest, the kind of material that sells newspapers all over the world. But there's one kind of story that The Sun thrives on, that you'll hardly ever see in the Western press. And there are bulging files on it here. These are stories of reincarnation. They tell of young children who, often as soon as they can speak, talk about their real parents and their other homes. They seem to recall previous lives, often in such detail that they not only provide good copy for local journalists, but they persuade researchers all over the world that there's a phenomenon here worth investigating. Here's a story of a little boy, Ajit, who remembers drowning 5 years ago. And here is a story about a little 5-year-old girl who thinks she's a man who was killed in a road accident. But the story which most fascinates me is one that comes from the place I love most in Sri Lanka, the beautiful little bay of Unawatuna on the shores of the Indian Ocean. The story is a tragic reminder of Sri Lanka's brief but bloody insurrection of 1971. A captured rebel, a young man named Robert, leapt to his death into the sea. His close companion, Johnny, had already been killed. These twin girls were not born until 7 years later, yet almost as soon as they could speak, they claimed to be reincarnations of Johnny and Robert. Shiromi recounts gruesome details of Johnny's death. Shivanti says she remembers leaping into the sea with her wrists wired together. Such stories are intriguing, but for them to be accepted as evidence of reincarnation, every detail must be checked by a trusted investigator.
Journalist Delreen Vijayaratne covers many reincarnation stories. The latest comes from a jungle village, Pethiyagada. In this case, 4-year-old Inoka is the child who claims to have lived before. The story goes that when she first began to talk, Inoka told her mother, Rita Sriyani, that she had another family. They lived in a town called Minawangada. She claimed to remember having 2 sisters and a brother. They lived in much less primitive surroundings. Their house had running water and electricity. Inoka's mother says she'd never believed in reincarnation, and she certainly wasn't going to trek 6 miles through the jungle to Minawangada to check Inoka's claims.
At first, we started ignoring her conversation because we didn't want our only daughter to talk about another family, another father and another mother.
But Inoka's grandmother, Kiriyama, did listen to the tales of the little girl, and in the end was persuaded to take her to Minawangada. At the Buddhist temple there, the priests were intrigued, but not surprised, for Buddhists believe in reincarnation. They soon discovered that 8 years before, an 11-year-old girl called Milani had died in a motorbike accident. She'd had 1 brother and 2 sisters, and they'd lived in this modern house. It all fitted Inoka's description. When she was taken there, her first reactions amazed her mother, Rita Sriyani.
She was no stranger in that house, and her first question was, "Where's my doll?" She started calling the mother of her previous life Mummy, and Rita Sriyani was quite unhappy about it. And she was asking for all the toys of her previous birth.
Today, Inoka frequently makes the journey to Minawangada. Milani's father welcomes Inoka as a member of the family. Bandhu accepts her as his reborn sister. The girls say Anoka knew their names the first time she came to play. And she went straight to this cupboard for the dead girl's suitcase of toys. She identified Milani's photograph as my picture, and she calls Mrs. Godagampala her real mother.
And what difference did the Inoka's arrival make to your life?
I'm really happy because I had 3 or 4 children. I lost one and I got her back again.
I see no other explanation to this story other than reincarnation. I mean, how can you expect a girl from Pettiagoda, that's 6 miles away from this spot, to talk of a family in Minuangoda that she has never seen or heard before? So you have to accept it as reincarnation and nothing else.
So the strange claims Inoka made when she began to speak have brought great happiness to a family that no longer mourns.
Stories of this kind are very rare in Britain. One of the most remarkable began in 1957 in Northumberland.